Five,
Yep.
4, 3, 2, 1. Zach, absolutely love your content online, man. It's actually been really inspiring for someone like me. And you've made this massive shift in your body, mind, and emotional in the past, year or so. What ignited this shift within you?
Well, first of all, thanks. That means, hearing that, especially from like former teammates and stuff, is really cool to me. Just because like we all worked out together. You and I especially were on scout team together, which we can get into that with me. Also, I want to start I didn't even get to say this before we started recording. You deserved everything you got at Miami, man. Like, seriously, like, kudos to you. I wish I would have said this when we weren't recording too, so it seemed maybe more authentic, but I'm telling everyone here, like, Chris here grinded his ass off, transformed his body, like, made it work, like, and you got on scholarship and you earned every ounce of that, dude. So, seriously, like,
Thank you, brother. I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah.
You were a big role model for me, and I really appreciate that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Appreciate that a lot.
Yeah.
But back to you, man.
Yeah.
I'm the one interviewing. Like I said, like what ignited this, this shift within you, kind of moving towards health and fitness?
Yeah, so obviously all through football I lived really unhealthily. That was a big part of it. So when football ended, so the biggest shift came when I was in my 5th year. So like I was done with football, COVID was still going on, and football had ended for me in January of 2020. So once COVID hit, I kind of let my body go a little bit. Like I've posted my transitional pictures or whatever, and like I didn't, obviously everyone's body's different, everyone's body type is different, but for me personally, like I was putting on bad weight, I felt terrible. Like I remember one time I was playing basketball, I had to stop because like I felt like my blood sugar was low or something, and even my buddy Sevi was like, dude, that's when I knew something was wrong with you.
Wow.
Like he's just like, this kid is so out of shape now, like he's a former college football player and like what is he doing? But then yeah, it was like September of 2020, and I just realized I was like, I have these health issues that are starting to develop. So I had ulcerative colitis that I got during college. And then something else we can dive a little deeper into as well that we talked about, and everyone who knew me in college kind of knew about this, was my Adderall use. And so I had a couple of things that I had to kind of work through. And so the Adderall stopped. I just stopped it cold turkey. And I kind of had a moment where I'm like, I need to start making real changes in my life, or else I can see my life going down a path of continued drug use, continued health problems, continued self-sabotage, not reaching my potential, everything there. And so it was kind of end of 2020, after a couple months of legitimate withdrawals, where I started to just say, screw it, I'm going to take control of my health and my life. Started right away with just focusing on protein and working out, and that working out typically could just consisted of like HIIT workouts. I didn't want to lift at all because we had just done that for 4.5 years, and yeah, haven't looked back since. It's a huge part of my life now. It's not my entire identity, which I feel like a lot of people on social media make it, but my goal is to not have to be my identity, but more, like you said, to inspire. And so transitioning, from like 2021, the beginning of 2021, I started like my journey, if you will. And then about 6-7 months in, so like middle of 2021, I was like, dang, like my body's transformed a little bit. Like this is the most in shape I have ever been in my life. Like, and ever, and all through football, even in high school, like I had never taken my diet seriously. I thought it was dumb because I didn't know anything. Like in growing up, I was fortunate to have like a faster metabolism, but then I learned that doesn't stay. And then I was like, I've like really taken control of this stuff. Like this is something I'm really passionate about because I can see what it can do for me, like energy-wise, confidence, health. Like reverse my ulcerative colitis. Haven't touched Adderall since September of 2020, and I eventually decided, I started seeing people on Instagram posting workouts and like these like big accounts. And I was like, I want to do that. I feel like I can provide my own kind of twist on it. And my one goal was to inspire. And I didn't think I'd have any more than 200 followers. I'm only at like 908. So I think it's going to start picking up more. I'm going to start not putting more time in, but more focused time when I do put the time in, because it only takes like an hour, 2 hours a day at most. But yeah, so now here we are. I've been doing it for like a year and a half, and what's been the coolest part is people who I know, like you, for example, and then like other people who I just like out of the blue, like people I haven't talked to in years and stuff. They're like, dude, like your stuff is super inspiring. I'm like, that is amazing, because that's just like, I don't think anything, like I enjoy it and that's why I do it, but I don't, I'm not over here thinking like, oh, I'm so inspirational. It's just like, here's my work. I'll post it out there for everyone. So
You are, man. I think your work, work is inspirational. You see, people always recognize hard work and effort, and what you've done with your mind and your body. And, the results show, like, you're shredded now, dude. Like, as broy as that sounds, like,
yeah,
you're in awesome shape. And, you don't see people nowadays. Sometimes they don't take control of their health seriously, and it sounds like what you did was you had a realization that, things in your life weren't going the way you wanted to be, and you didn't want to be the person you wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a real, like, man, person, woman, anything to admit, like, I'm kind of fucked up here.
Yeah.
And I really want to know, was this change that you made in this transformation you made, did it spur from like a single moment? I know you said September, or was it more of like a collection of moments over time that made you change? Or was it like the basketball game, you're like, I need to make a change?
No, so that basketball game was well before I even realized I needed to. I just still remember that. Definitely a collection. So it was a defined moment where I decided, but what led up to it was everything I went through in college, man. Like, again, never getting on scholarship, which you saw me when I like played against our starters and stuff. Athletically, I was capable of
100%.
But I was so inconsistent mentally. I wasn't there, man. I was not sleeping enough. I cared about partying more. I cared more about my social status than I did than my body of work. Like, and now I realize how much more important, like, I don't think what I want to get out there too is like, I don't think I'm shit. Like, I've done this like my second podcast now. It's just because I have like some stuff to talk about, and it's not because like I'm nowhere near where I want to be. I don't know if I'll ever be where I want to be, but it's just all a journey, and that's kind of the beauty of it. But it was definitely a collection of moments, man, and I still deal with it. I still have like flashbacks. I still have dreams of times I've fucked up in practice and games and stuff. Like, straight up, like that shit is like low key traumatic. Like, it still drives me to this day. It sucks, but it also is like I've come to realize as of late, it's like I had to do that, man. I had to go through it. I had to fuck up like that. I had to make those mistakes. Because then I wouldn't approach my job and my account and my relationships and everything the same way. I feel like if I would have had different kind of like success in college football or something.
Yeah. So what's the foundation of your routine right now?
Ooh, great question. With just my daily routine, or
yeah, just like walk us through like your fitness and health routine right now.
Actually, I love talking about this. Okay, so there's a couple non-negotiables. I chug a liter of water every day when I wake up with some electrolytes. There's a couple, so that's a non-negotiable. Working out 5 to 6 times a week, and a lot of intent. I have a goal with every single workout. So I only lift 3 times a week right now, contrary to like what a lot of people think you need to do. Most of the people I'm like working with now, I have 7 clients right now, which is sick. Like, I did not think like that would happen, and that was kind of off the cuff to decide to start offering one-on-one coaching, but now it's becoming something that I really like. I'm sorry if this is rubbing against my sweatshirt.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
But yeah, so every lift or run has some sort of intent. So my lifts are to get stronger and more defined, if you will, which means more muscle. So to my friends out there who think you're going to get bulky, you're probably not going to. You're never going to be too big unless you take steroids. Like you're never going to be too big. Don't worry about it. Like such a lame thing to say. Like when I've had, like, you know, you'll hear people say like, oh, I do high rep, low weight, 18 sets. It's like if you're not going to failure, you're not going to do anything. Like maybe you're sweating, but you're not going to build muscle that way. Okay, so intent with everything. Sorry, I'm going on tangents now. I like talking about this stuff. But then with runs too, like on the contrary, is to be someone who I want to be someone who can, you know, push a lot of weight, but then also, I don't know when the time will arise, but have the capability of running a decent amount of, like, I had a decent speed across a decent distance. And more reasoning behind that is because as humans, we're never going to be as strong as, you know, a lion or like any sort of animal. But what separated us in our evolution, besides like our thumbs and stuff, but like physically, was our ability to run distance and cover long distances and not stop. And so that's kind of what I think of. I'm like, if I want to be that kind of fit, I think you got to have it both.
So you would classify yourself as more of like a hybrid type workout
yeah, I want to say
athlete?
hybrid athlete. Yeah, but because that's like, so like BPN, obviously, like Nick Bear's been a bit of a inspiration recently.
Yeah, I'm a huge Nick Bear guy. So.
Yeah, I know. So he's a big inspiration, but then it's also just like I see dudes who like only lift. I'm like, dog, you can't run far. Like, everyone's goals are different. Everyone's goals are different, and that I want to caveat that. But it's not for me, personally. That's what I'll just say. I want to be able to do both. Like I'm in a basketball league and stuff. I can go snowboarding and stuff. And I feel like when you're only focusing on lifting, I think you limit your ability to do those other active things.
100%. You mentioned something about, you mentioned that you now have clients, which is awesome. And you're starting to help them on their fitness journey. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I think is beautiful about that is you are looking back and helping people avoid the pain that you went through already with your journey. And I feel like you've been very open and honest with that on, you know, your Instagram, and now you're helping clients. How much have you felt like committed to their goals now starting to help them?
Oh, dude, it's like I want them to succeed so badly. I mean, maybe it's I can't say it's altruistic because obviously like that's a reflection of myself as well, but it's like it's so I get texts. So a couple of them have texted me like, I am feeling the best I've ever felt, and you know, I'm getting more muscular, like my spouse is noticing, my significant other is noticing, like, dude, thank you. I'm like, that is so awesome. Like that, like, is such a genuine, like, amazing thing to see. And, you know, something that has become kind of second nature to me now because it's been two years in the making. And realizing that there are people who, like, most people don't understand that it's just like kind of simple changes and consistency that can make you, can totally transform how you feel about yourself, how, you know, you view yourself, how you feel, confidence, energy, appearance. Just being consistent and making like small changes and sticking to them every day for months will put you in a drastically different position than you were months before. And so one person's on their third month, I believe. Other than that, it's just been 2 months, but so far it's been good, man. And it's really fulfilling, honestly.
What do you think the foundation points every person needs in their health and fitness?
Man, good questions. I think for fitness, a mix of longevity and pushing your limits. So there's a component of doing things that, you know, you could keep doing. So maybe running, maybe some mobility work, maybe not doing that like the fifth set of something. So like a mix of that, but then also, let's say you're doing 3x8 of bench, you should be making those 6, 7, and 8 reps absolutely grueling. And that's kind of the pushing your limits part. Or sprints. Like, sprints are really good for you, but when I'm doing my sprints, I wish sometimes I could like show a full workout. Like maybe that'll be a part of like some stuff I start posting. if like Kelly's able to start taking videos for me because she's actually done working for the next few months. Is like for sprints, I'm going until I'm like almost throwing up, and maybe that's not good for. It's also like not. It's just pushing your limits. Like there's a mix of doing something good for you and a mix of just pushing yourself. And I think you're going to kind of see the best like results and most fulfilling, because when you're just only kind of doing like not the bare minimum, but stuff that is like, oh, this feels good. This feels good. I'm going to keep doing this. I feel like you're not getting the full benefit of fitness. And that's just my opinion. And I'm not saying you shouldn't. You should do stuff that you like and enjoy, and that should get you into the gym. But then also you start to realize the beauty in just absolutely pushing your limits, and it kind of translates into other things as well, I think.
I agree. I think that everyone needs to find that thing that they enjoy, whether it's, cycling, swimming, lifting weights, high intensity. But you can also find the ability to push yourself within that kind of modality, I guess you'd say. Like, I'm training for a triathlon right now. And I was so used to just like strength training and like sprints for football.
Yeah.
And dude, like, I resonate with what you're saying with like doing new things. So like one thing I'd recommend is like if people are going on like a health and fitness journey, like trying to find something like they're not good at. Like for me, like I can speak to my experience, like swimming. Dude, I'm so bad at it. So bad at it. But like over time, I've just gotten, I just do a half a mile every day, and now I'm up to a mile every day, and it's just like, I didn't know the technique, but you push yourself, and it's hard, but you get better at it. But I think to get people on a health journey, they have to find something that will get them in the gym.
Yep.
And then once they start going and going, they push themselves to try new things, try this, push themselves within, a harder workout. So what do you think the first steps someone needs to do to build momentum towards, a healthier, fitter lifestyle?
Another good question, and also great point. To kind of reiterate, yes, and I glossed over it, but yes, find something first that you like and will do consistently, or think you can do consistently, and build those habits, and that's where you build from there. And it kind of keeps it interesting as well. But first step would be doing something first thing in the morning that you can keep doing and that you kind of look forward to. So, for example, for me, it's been kiwi. Like, that was a big part. Like, seriously, like so many people send me pictures of their kiwi now and stuff. Like, will snap me it. Well, I love it. Like, they're like, I literally got a Snapchat the other day. They were like, oh, me and so it was one of my friends, Cindy, and she's like, Tommy and I ate these and we thought about you. So I had to tell, I'm like, that's just like, I love that. Cindy,
awesome.
Obviously. But,
yeah.
And so it's setting a small habit that you can achieve and building up from there. And it's simple. It's not easy because, you can easily fall off. You wake up, you're like, oh, I don't feel like having the yogurt, or like I forgot to buy them from the grocery store. And then you go 2 days, 3 days without buying them. And then now it's been a week and you fell off the habit already. And that's so common, and it's very real, and it's hard to set these habits. But so I would say first step, if you're trying to start taking better control of your health and your fitness, will be just have one morning thing that you can implement right away that is not too. It doesn't have to be a 3-mile run. It could be as simple as eating a kiwi every morning, or having some blueberries. Okay, now you've had your blueberries. You typically skip breakfast, but now you're up. You do already something in the morning. Now you can have a yogurt and some honey, and now you have a little bit like something in your stomach rather than starving and then binge eating at lunch and having like a bunch of fried stuff and ordering in again and stuff. So one small thing in the morning is what I would say.
That's awesome. Yeah, I agree. You said recently on your Instagram, I'm going to read a quote because it really resonated with me, and I think it speaks to a lot of your journey and how open and honest you were. You said, I wasn't happy with where I was, so I changed what I put in my mind and body. When you care about what you put inside, it can manifest itself on the outside as well. I saw what can happen when my body and mind are neglected, depressed, anxious, and lack of self-confidence. First off, to say something like that and to put it on Instagram takes a lot of, confidence, one, like,
Yeah.
and also like it's scary and you feel the anxiety, and to get over that hump. The part that I really, really enjoyed about that was when you said, when you care about what you put inside, it can manifest itself on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to talk about your diet and how impactful that's been on you, not just physically, but also psychologically. Because I know you just mentioned kiwis and blueberries.
Yeah, and thanks for reading that. That was one of my transformation pictures, right, from a little while ago. I remember writing that and stuff, and when I think about how I felt like a few years ago, it kind of starts getting me like a little like emotional sometimes. So like, thanks for reading that. But yeah, man, it's because it's this form of self-respect, which is what I've talked about a lot. And I've tried to get it like across to people that it's okay to give yourself that kind of respect. Like, I feel like a lot of people like me are really hard on themselves, and you tend to self-destruct. But when you start putting good stuff into your body, literally and like kind of mentally, like thinking better thoughts and stuff, I don't know, I feel like you start to become a better friend, a better person in your community, a better son, a better brother, better daughter, better wife, whatever it may be. That's what I mean by like kind of manifest itself, because you're taking care of yourself. So now you can finally maybe take care of others, if you will. Because how the hell can you tell anyone what to do when you can't even like get yourself to do something that you want yourself to do?
Mm-hmm. How do you balance the feeling enough with yourself and your mind and your body while also staying driven and motivated?
Well, because the caveat to that is I'd never really feel like enough, but I take steps back where maybe I'm like, I understand that it's more a gratitude kind of idea. Like, I still have goals and like areas I want to reach and heights I want to get to and stuff, if you will, in metaphorical heights. Mm-hmm. But then I'm also able to like backtrack and be like, listen, like, I'm healthy, I'm here, I'm good, I take care of myself. Like, it's just really, it's having those goals and also being grateful for where you are. And also kind of approaching your goals from a sense of, I have opportunity to go after these things. I think that's a big thing for me and a lot of people. It's not just out of like, I have to have this accolade to be respected. It's more like, I have the opportunity. I was blessed enough to be born in the United States and be able to pursue things that are maybe bigger than me. And that's kind of like it's more of a gratitude. Like, thank you for like, I can do this, versus people who are born in other countries who just do not have that opportunity and never will. And I feel like it's a waste of the blessings we're given to not go for more and like be grateful the whole time and like, keep your faith and have kind of good moral reasoning as to why you want to do this. I think that answers the question.
No, it does. Yeah, absolutely. I really think that what you said about, what you put into your body and then it obviously manifests itself out is really important. And I think it's not only just diet in terms of food, but it's also diet in terms of like the content you're consuming every day. So, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, whatever you're pulling in. And I think a lot of people get this messed up. Like, they're constantly consuming things that are never going to get them towards their goals.
Yeah.
And if you're constantly consuming bullshit, eventually you just start reflecting bullshit.
Yep.
And I want to know how that came into your life and the content you consume and the people that you surround yourself, and how much of a reflection that's been on, your journey.
Yeah, so for one, I want to say I'm definitely not perfect with social media. Like, I've texted buddies, I'm like kind of hard on myself when I post. I'm like, dang, this sucks. Like, hey bro, can you like my tweet, please? So I just don't feel like a loser. So I'll admit that. Like, I'm very open to admitting that. like, hey guys, like, I feel like I'm talking to a void here. I'll text one of my buddies like, can you please like this for me? And they're usually like cool. Like, they don't care. Like, it's like, but I need to get better with that. So I still like I still have to balance like comparing myself to other accounts and stuff like that, and like, you know, worrying about what people think. But I've gotten just so much better at dealing with that, because it's just at the end of the day, we're all going to die. So got to just focus on stuff that matters. But I definitely talk, like, all my friends for the most part are into fitness to some capacity, and we can typically talk about our futures, like why we're, you know, what our long-term goals are and what we're doing daily to kind of get there. So I have a lot of friends like that, and I think it's just really important as well to just start muting stuff that just doesn't serve you on social media. It's really easy. It's like hard at first, and then you're like, okay, like you get kind of outraged or like maybe not, but or like shamed or something in your own mind. You're like, damn, like they're doing great, or like, oh, that's super annoying. Like I don't like this account. You can just mute them or unfollow or something there. So it's being very cognizant of what's showing up on your feed. If you want to use social media in kind of like a healthier way, but then also using it as inspiration. It gets annoying when all you see is like, I'm sure your Instagram reels are probably similar to mine. I don't know, maybe not, but like, because I posted some of those like kind of motivational ones, I'll sometimes scroll through reels, and it's just every single one is like, put in the work. I'm like, dude, I want to laugh. Like, give me a laugh, like, or something.
No, yeah, exactly.
But yeah, just
I've seen like.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, just being cognizant of what you're seeing and like muting accounts and posts that you don't want to see and stuff. And yeah, I guess finding people that also support you.
Yeah, I think, you know, the people you surround yourself with is super important. Yeah. And the people that, but part of that deal is not having people that just are going to tell you how great you are all the time.
Hell no.
Part of it is like them holding you accountable to like your goals and your aspirations and what you want to be. And I think, you know, that gets missed. Like, it's kind of, people just want to hear how great they are sometimes, but like the true people that you want to be friends with are like you need to, you know, shapen up, dude. Like, you're kind of falling off the rails a little bit. And I want to know how much do you have to kind of, you know, keep your clients disciplined on what their goals are?
They've all been pretty great so far, honestly. You know, like they came to me and they want to do this, like, and that was like pretty great. They've all been honestly like pretty great to work with, and I'm hoping to expand it. Obviously, it's mostly people I know, which is great too. Like, I wasn't expecting that, but I know it's going to get more challenging as it kind of expands to people I don't know. But they've been good. But with one thing you're talking about too is like holding you accountable. That's where I'm very lucky to have, you know, like Kelly. She's amazing for when I'm tripping about something I just shouldn't be. She's like, Zach, who cares? Like, no one cares. I'm like, damn it, you're right. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, especially with like a post, so like sometimes like something will just do. I'll think a post is going to do really well, and it just doesn't. Like, maybe the Instagram algorithm, or it doesn't even matter. But she's like, why are you worried about this? This wasn't even meant to be something that you cared about for that when you first started. You just want to inspire others, and you have. And so everything else is just because you enjoy it now. And like, great, thanks for the reminder. Yes, you're right. So having someone like that, and friends as well. Like, if your friends are gassing you up all the time, they're probably not all your friends. Not that they should be negative towards you, but you know what I'm saying.
How important was your support system when you were going cold turkey off of Adderall?
Good question. It was really me, man. That was kind of that was all me, I have to say.
Solo.
Yeah. You know, people were worried about their own stuff. It was in COVID. I was in Oxford, still living above Kofenia with my boy Don. McWood was like kind of there and like here and there. But he was playing football still. And dude, I was like sleeping 14 hours a day and stuff. I was so low energy. I needed all that sleep because I was pulling an all-nighter once a week for my first 2 years of college, while playing football, while going to school, like while having a social life, and like I wondered why I would come home and be in a terrible state of mind. But yeah, dude, that was just all me. I'm like, I don't care if I like do worse in school because I get off of it. Like, this is about me now. Like, so I have Raynaud's now, which is when your blood doesn't, like, your blood flow to your extremities, like your hands and feet, are like a bit, most of the time, are like kind of constricted. So my hands and feet go purple a lot. But when I was still on Adderall, they would go numb. And the reason for that is because Adderall is a vasoconstrictor. So most stimulants are vasoconstrictors. So it cuts off blood flow to your extremities. And it got, so after 4.5 years of heavy, Adderall use and abuse, again, I was prescribed for, the feds listening. But I was, it got to the point after like 4.5 years where I'd be sitting there doing work and stuff and I couldn't feel my feet. And like my calves would be purple, my forearms would be starting to turn purple and stuff. I'm like, this, now that it's like physically manifesting past my ulcerative colitis, which that was just a combination of a bunch of things, then I was like, this is my life we're talking about, so I need to make a change now. And that was just I'm off. So yeah, that was all internal.
Shit.
Yeah, it was messed up, man. It was disgusting.
How much were you taking? Like, how many times? You don't have to say the direct dose. How many times?
No, I was taking like
a lot.
4 or 6 pills a day, like minimum 3 probably. And they were pretty big, like I was given 60 pills a month, and those were definitely gone at the end of every month. I would maybe take like a day or two between just to like hopefully recover, and then right back to it, man. And I was so young and naive. I had no idea how actually, like, it's neurotoxic. Like, you're filling your brain with false dopamine and norepinephrine and like serotonin, and like the come downs, man, were so egregious. Like, I'd be so depressed and so just such a negative outlook on life. And then the next day I would just like come to practice, I think I'm the man, and then maybe I'd have a good practice and ball out. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm the shit. And then I come back, and then I have a bad night. I don't sleep because I took too much Adderall that day, and then I have a terrible practice. And it's just a constant cycle of no consistency, no discipline, no self-reflection, like just in a constant state of 1 step forward and 2 steps back and stuff. And it took me until after football ended to realize, and that just it still hurts, me to this day, how much it didn't pan out with football. But I cope with it in other ways. I try to get into fitness and try to do well in my job and work hard and do a bunch of other stuff. So I cope with it I think in a healthy way, if you will. Sometimes.
100%. I think, maybe you had to go through that just to, become the inspirational character you are today for more people than you'd think. And as cliche as that might sound, I mean, you definitely inspired me, and I wouldn't be down on yourself because you were a baller at Miami. You were a good player. It's just
in practice.
How much? No, you were good, dude. You were a really good player. How much did it affect not only your play but also your lifestyle outside of football, your social life?
Yeah. So obviously, luckily, people who got to know me stuck around and liked me. 'Cause, I think I'm a nice guy. I typically have people's.
You're a great guy.
I won't say that, but thanks. But I think some people got the wrong idea for me. Like, I feel like a lot of the older dudes kind of think I was like weird, which kind of sucks. It is what it is, though. And so, like, social life, I was still obviously had the energy to like party and stuff, and like we had a great time in college. Don't get me wrong, just everything in between the times where I wasn't with people and I wasn't surrounded by like my roommates and stuff. It was pretty dark a lot of the times, just not in the right headspace. But then like also relationship wise, I was all over the place with Kelly. I wasn't a trustworthy, like, good partner. I wasn't doing anything like I just was like all wishy-washy. Like, one day I would be a great boyfriend. The other day I would like neglect her or just like not talk to her. It's like not like, you know what I'm saying? Just not being kind of emotionally, I was emotionally inconsistent. I was emotionally very inconsistent, and that affected my relationship with Kelly for a while as well. And she's over here listening, but thank God she is a saint and put up with me. And if I don't think it would have I think I reached my point of like she didn't deserve that. She deserved much better. So yeah, relationship, socially, I was just emotionally inconsistent, but yeah, it came out okay, I guess.
How did you discover the source of the self-doubt?
I think it was just me being too much of a thinker. And I think that stemmed from Adderall as well. Just because your mind is constantly going, just on repeat. Your mind does not stop. Like it's because you're artificially thinking more. And so when you think that much, your mind can go into like weird places, and I just would overthink my ability. I would overthink conversations and social interactions and stuff like that. And it eventually came down to like, in football, you can't, like, you got to think in the sense you got to know what the hell you're doing, and you know what you're doing by preparing. But once you get on the field, there's no thinking, man. It's reaction. It's reacting and being a beast out there. And I lost that for a bit. And I think I'm learning to get, like, there's like a flow state that I didn't have for like 4.5 years of where you're just locked in, acting off of instinct, not thinking too much, and I just thought too much for all those times, and it really hindered my ability to perform.
Where did you start with, kind of liberating yourself from the self-doubt and the overthinking?
When I realized that's what's holding me back, when I realized it's all made up in my head, not that I still don't have it, it's just I've learned to deal with it more, if anything. So when I started to doubt myself and I'm like, oh, I'm in this shitty situation, instead of sulking in it, instead I take action and like, let's say a cold call went wrong or like a meeting went terrible. Instead of typically, today was tough, but like typically I'll maybe feel sorry for myself for a second, but now next step, let's just keep moving. Like the only thing that's going to hold me back is if I don't do anything. I can sulk all I want. I can't change it. It's fucking over. It's done. And I'm still learning to get there, but it's just taking action, and it's easier said than done. But realizing that doing nothing will just put you in a way worse position. Being proactive.
Yeah. I agree. It kind of brought me to what you just said about doing nothing. I remember having a hard conversation with my brother in college about kind of my ability to play and like if I was ever going to play. And I was on the phone with him and I was struggling with, my role and stuff. And this was going into my senior year. And simply, he just put it in the most simple way. And I think this would resonate with you. He just said, well, what are you going to do about it?
It's the best way to put it.
Talking about it's one thing, but like, what are you personally, are you going to do about it? And that completely changed my outlook on everything. And you said on a podcast I was listening to you, the Sales Consultant podcast, you talked about how like it's on me to make these decisions and it's on me. What am I going to do next? And you just said it again. So how did you start with, accepting and coping with the pain that was inside you in the Adderall abuse?
Yeah. Just time, I guess, and just taking responsibility and learning. And shout out my boy Derek, who got me on the Sales Consultant podcast. That was really cool of him. And again, it's not because I had some success in like my first position, but I'm not like doing anything like super crazy, guys. Like it's just I'm in an interesting space at the moment. But it just was time and just reasoning that like there are so many things that I can control, and one of them is how I approach the next step from negative points in my life, I guess.
Yeah. I think, there's this recent quote that I heard that said, you are perfectly positioned to help someone you once were. And I think that really pertains to you because, you know, you've been in some very, very dark spots and you've overcome it. And as much as people want to, you know, say, must be nice to look the way Zack looks, to have, 1,000 followers on Instagram that, or must be nice if people, like, you put a ton of effort in. And I think what you're doing is inspiring to people. And I think you're helping your former self a little bit through your Instagram. And I just want to know, like, what you plan on doing forward with the whole, fitness, inspiration, health, longevity stuff. Because I think it's personally inspiring to me. So
Thanks. Yeah.
I want to know what you're going to do going forward.
Yeah, well, you had a good point. It is kind of a reflection of everything, that I wasn't previously. I was a fucking child, dude. Even I was a child until I was like 23. Like, even though obviously I'm still not, but I've matured a lot in these last couple of years, and I know that because I just take responsibility for my shit for the most part. Like, I'm not perfect, but and that a big part of my fitness is highlighting everything that I think I wasn't. But my plans just kind of keep doing it, keep growing it, keep seeing how it's going. It's not. I don't want to say it's not my first priority. Like, my first priority is like my job. It's it's really challenging. It's really fulfilling. But then this is also something I think it's really important to have a passion outside of work. And that's what this started as, and now it's a passion that has started to make a little bit of money, which is cool. And to see where how it's possible to like grow it, and to know that like it's scalable with probably the same amount of time, just more focused work. It's kind of like my goal right now is to just grow it with more focused work, more direction, and keeping it real still as well. Because like I see some dudes, and there's nothing wrong. Like, everyone's on their own grind, man. So like I'm not hating, but dude, just some people you can tell just totally sold out for an online presence. I'm like, I couldn't live like that, knowing that I am not putting out who I am. There's obviously some things you need to do if you're trying to post certain kinds of content, like maybe more informational. Maybe I won't be as casual as I would in a regular conversation, but
Right.
just the way some people will market and stuff, it's just kind of surprising to me why they would put themselves in that kind of light, even if it does make them a 20K on a video and stuff. I guess I can't really hate, but
Yeah, what I think you're doing is you're being authentic and genuine, and you're being honest. And I think that's really awesome. And I think it does kind of look back, and you can kind of help people that are struggling, and you can almost expedite the process that you went through, that you struggled through for a long time, and that you had to accept. You can help people kind of avoid those failures with this. And I think that's super important. Your content is very genuine, very authentic, and it's hard. It's hard to, put yourself out there and, let yourself know that, or let other people know that, like, I look this way now and I feel this way now, but I wasn't this person prior to, you said, 2 years ago.
yeah.
And I think that's what's awesome. Yeah, like, and I think
Totally
the
different person.
changes that you've made are crazy remarkable, and
Nice.
that's what people I think will resonate and will resonate with the most, is just like authenticity, genuine, open. I've been here, I've seen the struggle, I know what it takes. I'm still on my own journey, and I think Ryan Holiday says you're never content with your progress, but yet you're always content because you are making progress, and you're never this
Absolutely.
finished product.
Yeah, that's
And
what I was saying
think
earlier. That's just a way better way of putting it. Like,
He's Ryan Holiday. I mean, he's an author, so he's a little more.
Well, that was a perfect way of putting it. What I was trying to say earlier, like, yes, I still am reaching for this, but I'm still happy that you see you're putting in work towards towards that constant improvement. That's the best part. And I had something to say. Oh yeah, and well, what's like the most fulfilling part and what like makes me the most sad, if you will, is knowing that there are people out there that can't talk about it, or won't talk about it, are afraid to talk about it, that have these super negative self images and don't know what steps to take, how to move one step forward, one step at a time, to just make those small changes. Like back to that, to instead of coming home and smoking weed and like getting dabbed the fuck out like a lot of people do. No, I'm not hating, but there are people who are struggling who do that. Is what I'm more talking to, and it's like a coping mechanism. I get it, I totally get it. But instead of having the opposite and doing something that progresses you, not brings you back, like not keeps you down. And I really, truly, like, if I can help people get out of that, it's more, like I've said before too, it's more than just fitness and health. It's the best way to, I think, portray it and put out a message, just because it's something very tangible that people can do. But to help people get out, like, to get out of that state of mind of disappointment in themselves and self-sabotage, and that's like the main goal. And that's what makes me the most hurt, is knowing that so many people are still, so many people are dealing with that, especially nowadays. It's getting even worse too. And it'd be great to help more,
I think what you're doing is great. And I think what would be, the first step, someone that's struggling with self-worth, self-doubt, maybe they're struggling with addiction, what would be the first step to overcoming that?
Basically what I brought up earlier, just find one thing you can do. Then maybe it takes, I think a lot of times it takes seeing someone also doing that and taking something from them. The kiwi, I don't know, I didn't get that from anyone, but there are people I followed that I resonated with. And it's honestly was a positive use of social media, where I was like, this guy is speaking facts right now. I need to get the hell up. I'm feeling sorry for myself. And I can take steps to make it better. And I wonder why I feel this certain way about myself. Oh, because I'm staying up late. I'm not eating healthy. I don't exercise. I'm maybe indulging in other things I shouldn't be. And I'm doing all these things that will make me feel worse. And I think a lot of people are hopefully starting to open up to the idea that there's small positive changes that you can make. So it'd be that, just one small positive change you can make, and then building off of that. Because I've had people that mention, like, even following me, they're like, oh, I started eating a kiwi every day, and I look forward to the morning now. And I keep talking about kiwi, but that's just, it's truly been foundational in my
it's the discipline of doing something. It's the discipline of doing something.
The first thing I ever posted, I think, on my story was me eating the kiwi, which also eat the skin, everyone. It's full of vitamin E, vitamin C, it's got more nutrients, tastes better, folate. Just do it. Don't be scared. Wash it off. But that was like foundational for my account, because it is not a beacon, but just a true kind of symbol of a small disciplinary step that I've taken in my life, where if I have kiwis, that's the first thing I'm eating in the morning.
It sets your foundation for the morning.
Absolutely.
And I would say that for me, it's not kiwis, but it's a process of journaling and writing.
Nice.
And, just getting down, base thoughts. And I've done it every day since kind of similar time of 2020. Our former teammate, Jack Sorensen, got me into it. And I've done it every day.
The boy Jack.
It's actually right next to me, but and it's random, man. But it's the discipline of doing something every day, and journalism journaling is kind of this like self-reflective thing, and I would recommend that to anyone. Yeah, you got one too?
Yeah, I don't do it every day, but I definitely make sure I'm doing it. It's probably every 2 weeks right now. I'm not consistent as I should be. I write down my tasks and goals for every day. That is something I do every single day for people. Also, just because I still am a little scatterbrained sometimes, and it's good for me to more mundane tasks, but then also my goals for the month. So it's a mix of both. But sorry to steal your thunder there. Journaling is
no, you're good.
It's great, and I should be better, honestly.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just the discipline and the act of doing it every day. And journaling and just writing stuff down And I think people, it's more meditative for me than anything. It's like the actual like act of just like getting stuff out on paper, that like some negative thoughts that I might have, some positive thoughts that I might have. The craziest thing is when you go back and read the whole journal. So like I'll go back and like read, like, dude, like you can come so far from where you are. And I think, you know, your Instagram is going to be like that for you going forward. I would recommend to anyone just to find some sort of meditative task to, you know, expel negative thoughts, to work on certain things, and then you can see the progression over time. And I think that's great. I would like to go back a little bit to the Adderall thing, just because I think it's very important to who you are. But this will just be, you know, a little more anecdotal. When I was preparing for this, I found that Andrew Huberman was on Joe Rogan. I know you're a big Huberman guy.
Oh, yeah.
And he said that 80% of college students rely on Adderall medication recreationally. And then, so I thought about that a little bit deeper. And recreationally, they're not even prescribed it. And so people are taking it without even being prescribed. There has to come a point where there becomes a dependence on it, correct?
Oh, I mean, utter, absolute dependence. It was terrible, man. I thought I needed it to function, and even like when I would come home from school, I would take like a little bit every day just to feel like just so I could do normal things throughout the day. But yes, dependence is very real. And
I think that's what a lot of people get addicted and they start abusing things. And I think once you can't do something without it, it stops, you know, providing a benefit. It stops becoming a performance enhancer if you're so dependent on it in general. And I don't know if you know who Chris Williamson is, but he says if you can't perform without it, then it stopped conferring a benefit. So eventually it's just bringing you back to baseline because you've used it as a crutch and it's no longer helping you. And there's things that I've noticed in my life that I've had to start to wean off because I used to think it was a performance enhancer and it's now become a crutch.
Yeah.
And it's actually been, for me, it's been caffeine and coffee.
Okay. I'm a big coffee guy, but
yeah. So it stopped. I was drinking so much of it, like I'd stopped conferring that benefit and being a performance enhancer. It became, you know, just this crutch in my life that I was like, instead of saying I was tired, I said I needed a coffee, which is crazy to think about. So that's kind
real.
of yeah. And I think that college students are getting it wrong because I knew so many people that were on it that weren't even prescribed it, and were using it for crazy methods to like stay awake so they could drink longer, to feel the effects of not drinking. But there comes a point where college students are so dependent on it where they don't even know how to study without it.
Yeah.
Which is wild, and I would just love to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, and I wasn't, so I said 4 to 6. It was like that wouldn't have made sense, but some days it was close to that. But it was like at least 2, and it was typically I would max out at like some days consistently be like 4 and 5, and then I have to like take a day off so I could save them for the end of the month and stuff. So I was very highly dependent. I like planned it out. My life was like built around it sometimes. It was super messed up. But so not even college students, I'm not even as worried about them because college is kind of wild. like these kids are going to take it anyway. It's more people I know who are still prescribed where they're, you know, grown adults. I'm like, dog, your brain shouldn't be taking that. This is legal meth. Like, get off that. You're hurting your sperm quality, your hair follicles, because you're getting less. Like, so I was starting to lose hair in college as well. I forgot about that.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. I think part of that was kind of my helmet too, is like, 'cause I have a kind of big, hard head, but it was rubbing against. But still, no. I was also like, my widow's peak was growing. I was so stressed. It wasn't sleep. It was a bunch of things, but Adderall was definitely the root cause of all of those. And what I'm most concerned about is people who are still prescribed. I mean, Dave Portnoy was on Joe Rogan recently. He's like, yeah, I take 30 milligrams a day. I'm like, dog, you're eventually gonna get a really big tolerance. You're gonna need 2 to feel the same way because it gives him an edge. He's even said it. I know that feeling, and it goes away. And that's when you start just wanting more and you think you need it. And then it just becomes super, because then now the come downs become way worse and harder. And it's a vicious cycle, man. It's a super vicious cycle. And I'm more concerned about people who stay on it after college is over, because you do not need it. That is a crutch. I really don't believe anyone needs it. Maybe that's a hot take, but no one needs meth. Even if you have very, very, very clinical ADHD, there are other ways to go about it. Not list dexamphetamine, which is Vyvanse. I was prescribed 50 milligrams of that. And then Adderall is prescribed 20 milligrams of that. So the people who were wondering, do the math. I was taking a couple of those a day. Super messed up. And then 20 milligram Adderall was my booster. That's listed as amphetamine salts on the bottle, and the way it's just normalized now, man. It almost makes me question what the plan is with that from Big Pharma, because I don't trust. It's just I can't believe how normalized it is, man. It's so bad. It's so bad. I feel very strongly, and I've wanted to talk about it more, but I also didn't want to make my whole thing about Adderall, because my biggest thing with health was really my gut health as well, with my ulcerative colitis. The Adderall played a role in that too, and just how many people are on Adderall and think it's like good for them and don't question it. And I worry about long term for people and their health.
Yeah. What would you talk a little bit about your ulcerative colitis? I always mess that word up. Exactly. And how you overcame. That's an autoimmune disorder, right?
Yep.
What was the catalyst and the stuff that helped you, the factors that helped you get over that?
Well, yeah. Do you remember? I can't believe we didn't talk about this earlier. Sorry, everyone, if you were waiting for that.
Good. I'll clip it in so they can go straight to it.
Heck yeah. So do you remember my senior year camp? I had to get an emergency colonoscopy.
I did, yeah. I did remember that.
I mean, I was losing 10 pounds a day. I couldn't hold any food down. I was throwing up every time I tried to eat. That was hell, dude. That was one of the worst times of my life. I just could not eat.
Sounds terrible.
Oh, dude, it was horrible. Every time I tried to eat after our morning practice, where I would lose 10 to 12 pounds, I couldn't eat after. And then we'd have like something else later, go to film. And I stopped taking Adderall during that time as well. So I tried making major changes in my life. Was literally dying on the inside, like bleeding. I don't need to get into details of what all that entails, but if you look up the symptoms of ulcerative colitis, it's pretty egregious, and I had all of them. And yeah, so that was a big point where I'm like, oh shit, I'm sick. And I had that. So I had symptoms for 2 years prior too. So after the worst was when we went to Notre Dame, my redshirt freshman year, so my sophomore year. That's when it was the first flare up, if you will. And then it would stay for like a month, and it was really bad. Like going to the bathroom 7, 8, 9 times a day, like blood and stuff. But then it would go away. So then I was like, oh, great, cool, I'm fine. Glad that's over. Then it would like come back like 6 months later. I still wouldn't tell anyone. I didn't tell anyone until my senior year, when I was really like my health. I became anemic from it, and yeah, so that was really kind of the point where I realized I have a legit illness and I need to worry about that. And that was, again, I still didn't start making those real changes until about a year later. But
what were the biggest factors you felt that helped create the change?
Definitely diet, inflammation, stress, because it's all inflammatory. Most autoimmune diseases, from what I understand, come down to like inflammation. So, arthritis is inflammation, I'm pretty sure, of the joints and stuff. Ulcerative colitis is legitimate ulcers in your colon. Crohn's, I think, is a bit different and a bit more severe. And in its worst cases, I think it's more severe than ulcerative colitis. But I know of a guy who had ulcerative colitis. So I thought I had it bad. There are people who are hospitalized for weeks from it as well. So it can get really, really serious. And I was definitely heading down that path. But just focusing on it comes on the diet again, man. Just good quality stuff. Lots of extra virgin olive oil. I cook with that every day. Honestly, what I was always told that was bad for me was red meat. I eat a shit ton of red meat. I eat a lot of fruit, obviously. And I was drinking a lot after college for the first couple years because I had my buddies who lived by me, which was a good time. But I think what kind of help. Like, alcohol is just one of the worst things you can do for your gut. I stopped. I still drink alcohol occasionally, but that's another thing I've kind of changed recently. I don't really drink much. Don't really get hungover, which is nice. That's also been a huge productivity hack. On weekends, dude, not being hungover, it's an absolute cheat code. People are missing out. People are missing out.
I agree. What are the principles of your diet? Like, what would you just breakfast? What are you having?
Mm-hmm. Main principle is protein focused. Always try to get a gram of protein per pound of body weight.
Okay.
So I weigh about 200 pounds right now. I'm getting anywhere from 195 to like 215 grams. It kind of varies. I usually just try to get it almost exactly 200. And I also do that without accounting for the kind of extraneous protein that'll come in from rice and bread and stuff. Yeah. So it kind of makes it even more protein focused. And I think that will get people more muscular than they've ever seen in their life, just focusing on protein right away. And that was the biggest change of all time. So protein focused. Breakfast, I'm having 4 eggs, yogurt, and some toast. Typically, that's my very typical breakfast with some fruit. And then lunch, half pound to full pound of beef, elk, bison. I love chicken thighs too, but really trying to get at least 50 grams of protein for lunch as well. So it's usually around like 50-50 and 50, and then I'll have snacks throughout the day as well. And I also have a protein shake every day, which gives me an additional 25. And then just kind of stuff in between.
How's your sleep? I know you said you struggled with that in college. How's it now?
Mm-hmm. Recently, I think it's been bad because I've been kind of stressed. I wake up and my mind just racing, but I sleep deeply now, which is way different, which I just think is very important. And for most of the year, my sleep is pretty solid, like 7 hours straight. I take glycine, magnesium, and theanine every night before bed. So we can probably put all those in show notes and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll probably provide some links for people. I talk about it I made a post about it, and I post on my story a lot, but sleep is king. So like even yesterday, what's really important about, with fitness and everything is being flexible as well. I'm sorry I don't have these answers more organized.
No, this is great. This is a conversation, dude. It's an interview.
So what's really important is sleep is king. And I'm glad you brought that up. And what's really important with that, along with your fitness goals, is being flexible with your working out time. So yes, morning for me is preferred typically. But if I only got 4 or 5 hours of sleep, man, the rest of your day is going to be kind of bunk. Like, yeah, you can go get your workout in, you're going to feel better after for a bit. But you're not going to be operating at the same efficiency as if you would have slept maybe an extra hour. Obviously, if you have to get up, that's different. But I'm saying if you have the opportunity to skip that workout, maybe push it to the afternoon, or just go extra hard the next day and replace your off day and stuff like that, it's being very fluid and knowing that sleep is the most important thing. There's so many studies I don't even get into, from obviously Huberman, but then I don't know if you've ever heard of the saying Huberman types on Twitter. But there's a whole crew on Twitter, man. They're low-key toxic, but also super entertaining. And they all do really well. A bunch of them are online agency owners and business owners and stuff. And some of them are super cool. Really like a lot of their accounts. Some of them are really on one. But they'll make fun of Huberman types or optimizers, people that are worried about every little thing, which I do agree with. You shouldn't be. But it's basic principles like sleep is important, working out and being fluid is important, and focusing on protein and kind of whole foods is important. That's really how to break it down, I guess. Yeah.
It's awesome. Where can people find, your stuff, your content, your Instagram?
Yeah. So Zack Hazlett Fit, ZackHazlett Fit. Twitter is just Zack Hazlett. I'm still kind of figuring out Twitter. I want to use it more for just my random thoughts, but then I feel like I'll annoy people. So I try not to.
I don't think you annoy anyone.
What's that?
I said I don't think you'll annoy anyone.
Well, I know that's one of those ideas of social media where you care too much. I don't. There's that mix of, wanting to have positive interactions with people, and then also not worrying what they care or what people think about and stuff. So I want to provide value. Typically, is what I want to go for, and I don't really know how to on Twitter yet because I typically just want to shit post. But so Zack Hazlett Fit is it's my favorite thing to post on. It's what I'm most passionate about on just my fitness journey and helping others on theirs and taking control of their lives and everything. And I think it's going to start picking up here really soon. So
I think it is, dude. You're doing some really inspirational stuff, and I think it all stems from, a really good, genuine, honest, authentic place.
Thanks.
Check them out. I really appreciate you coming on, man. This has been great. It's been super inspiring. Makes me want to go, hit a run.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate it. Thanks, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. This was great. Appreciate it.
All right. I'm going to click stop.